How's it going, everyone? I'm Martin and welcome back to the channel. The other day we had a massive info explosion of Forsaken news. We had the launch trailer, the new Vidoc, and then a huge list of patch notes, so a lot of stuff going on recently in preparation for this DLC, which arrives just next Tuesday, so not long now. I'm sure most of you watching this video have probably seen the Vidoc by now. I was honestly hoping to have this video out sooner. I wanted to talk about the annual pass content a bit later on in the video, but firstly, there's some details I've not seen anyone talk about yet, which is Railguns coming to Destiny as a new weapon type, as well as something called Light and Fury weapons. This might be a bit of a long video, so I hope you stick around to the end. If you could drop a like on the video, that would be massively appreciated. It's just so I can kind of gauge how many people are enjoying this kind of content. Anyway, let's get to it. So in the Vidoc, Bungie talk about Season 4, which is called Season of the Outlaw, as well as the content that's to come after Forsaken with seasonal updates and the annual pass. The first content release included in the pass is called the Black Armory, which is about these mysterious characters, these gunsmiths, that are known for crafting some of the most incredible exotics from the Golden Age. For example, they show us a glimpse of this exotic sniper, which looks really cool, and whilst they're talking about this DLC, there's a shot right here showing one of the devs working on some art for this sniper rifle in Photoshop. We know this sniper is exotic because if we pause the video and look very closely, you can see at the top the name of this document is called Black Armory Exotic Sniper. Now there's also some other Photoshop documents open here, one's called Black Armory Vendor, the other's Black Armory Weapon Dealer, but the most interesting one that I want to bring your attention to is the one over on the far right, which is called Exotic Railgun Side 01. It's a little bit difficult to see, you may need to set the video to 1080p to be able to read it, but this just pretty much confirms that Bungie are working on railguns. I think knowing Bungie, this is something they intended to include in the Vidoc as a little sort of tease, since they know what the community is like, breaking down every little detail in these trailers and such. Usually stuff like this will be cut out of the video unless they intended for people to see it and to hype us up. And it makes sense to be included with the Black Armory DLC, since it's about a vault of Golden Age exotics. So I'm wondering if this railgun is going to be sort of a one-off exotic for now, kind of like the Queenbreaker's bow was at the time, and then more get released in the future, or if there'll be a couple included with this DLC. Either way, more weapon variety is always welcome. I also wonder what weapon slot this railgun would go in, especially with the new weapon system. Something like a railgun would either take energy ammo or become a power weapon since it's an exotic. I'm really looking forward to getting more info on this. Like I said, this DLC is the first to be included in the annual pass, and this will be coming this December. Now, along with each DLC is going to be a new season. Bungie have said that each seasonal update is going to be free to all players and will include free content for everyone. So for those who maybe don't want to purchase the annual pass DLC, they'll still have some stuff to do as well. And Bungie have actually outlined what each seasonal update will include, as well as each DLC. As I said earlier, the Black Armory DLC releases in December along with the Season of the Forge. With Season of the Forge, we're going to be seeing the return of heavy machine guns, and those will be available to all players, which is pretty exciting. I know I've missed using them from Destiny 1, I missed the Thunderlord, I missed all those kind of weapons. Then there's a bunch of standard stuff such as new weapons, Crucible content, Iron Banner, various gameplay updates, and seasonal ranks. In October, we'll see the Festival of the Lost return to the tower for Halloween, and in December, to cap the year off, we'll be getting another Dawning event. So like I said in the beginning of this video, I mentioned something called Fury weapons. This is something that is mentioned in the description for the Black Armory, but doesn't really draw much attention to itself. The description of this reads, "Discover weapons of light and fury. Add the Black Armory's treasure to your legend." Notice how in this sentence the word fury is capitalized. What I guess this means is that the weapons found in the Black Armory vault are known as fury weapons. The word light is also capitalized, but I'm guessing that's nothing new since light in the context of Destiny is usually capitalized anyway. Just the new thing here is fury. Again, knowing Bungie, this was specifically put in there. So I wonder if fury weapons are simply just a title, or if it means these weapons will have a set of unique traits. Guess we'll just have to wait and find out. Also included in the Black Armory is a new activity called Forges of the Chain. This could potentially be how we obtain some of these new weapons. Then there's a new raid lair. Now I'm guessing this raid lair is going to be an expansion of the Last Wish raid coming with Forsaken. Of course, there's going to be new exotics and legendaries, new triumphs, collections, and bonus rewards. The next update comes in spring of 2019 with Season of the Drifter and the Joker's Wild DLC, where we'll be learning more about the Drifter. He's the reward vendor for Gambit. It seems he's going to be more of a deeper character than we initially thought, so we're going to get to explore more about his story and what that big rock attached to his ship is. Once again, Season of the Drifter will include the standard changes like we saw before, so new weapons, gear, updates, ranks, etc. for everyone, and then for DLC owners, new exotics, I'm guessing new maps for Gambit, and quote, new activity experience. So we're not getting quite a completely new activity like Forges of the Chain or another raid lair, but more of an evolution of Gambit. Then lastly, in summer of 2019, we have the last content drop listed on here, although the name of this season has been redacted, so it looks like Bungie kind of want to keep this one a bit of a secret for now, but the DLC is called Penumbra, and it appears we'll be returning to the Leviathan as shown here. Previously we've only gone to the Leviathan for the raid and raid lairs, but here it seems that we'll actually be getting to visit it for story purposes and get to explore the Leviathan as its own area, which is pretty exciting. The ship is so huge, it's something I've wanted to be able to patrol more of since the beginning, rather than just being restricted to the raid. Bungie have been pretty vague about this DLC and keeping things under wraps. The most we get is this description, which reads, "Only the brave will learn what lurks in the shadow, only the strong will survive its teeth." I found interesting how Bungie used the word teeth here, because usually when they do, it's in reference to the Arham Kara, and there's been a lot of references to them recently with Forsaken, although they could just be using it here as a general term just to sort of throw us off what it actually is. There's a lot of possibilities because Callus is someone that has travelled far across the galaxy, met hundreds of different races, and even employed some of them as his elite group called the Shadows of Callus, which is also pretty interesting considering the name Penumbra is basically another word for shadow. But this is just a bit of speculation on my part. Whatever happens, I really hope that we finally get to meet Callus. So that is about all for the content coming over the next year, but we do have a few of the dates to look forward to coming up soon, in fact, as shown here in the coming weeks. Obviously on September 4th is when Forsaken releases, then on September 14th, that is when the raid drops, so that's going to be on a Friday. In the comments, let me know if you guys are going to be preparing to jump into the raid on day one once that goes live. I know for definite I am. I'm going to be grinding the game non-stop in order to be raid ready. Next, on September 18th, Iron Banner returns with a new Crucible map called Convergence. Following that on September 25th, even more Crucible maps are being added, along with a new game mode called Breakthrough. And then after that is the Festival of the Lost Halloween event, followed by surprises and updates to the Dreaming City. Bungie are always talking about how the Dreaming City is going to be a location that will evolve over time with new secrets to unlock as the weeks go on. So that is what the roadmap is looking like. We've got a lot of stuff to look forward to here. One of the main aims of these updates, the big obstacles this is meant to overcome, is the content drought that always happens in between expansions. But hopefully if all things work out, we'll have just enough to do in between each DLC, although as always I do remain cautious on this. In the Vidoc, Bungie talk about a few other things to do in Forsaken, such as more ways to earn powerful gear, like the daily heroics, and players will get to choose one of 3 Nightfall strikes each week. I don't know if this means you can get loot 3 times on each character, although I have a feeling it'll remain just once per week per character, but you get a choice of which strike you want to do. So instead of doing the same strike 3 times a week across all characters, you can do a different strike each time on a different character, just if you want to mix things up a little bit. There's also in-game lore which can be collected by completing certain tasks or killing bosses. It looks like Grimoire Score is also going to be returning, as you can see in the top right of this screen. And there's going to be triumphs tied to lore, and when you complete a set of triumphs, you'll be able to unlock titles for your character. So for example, the one shown here, we see this player with the title Chronicler, and apparently there's not many titles, but they'll be quite difficult to complete and to collect them all. Now, something here I wanted to mention in this video as well, something that was debunked by Bungie. In the Vidoc, we can actually see here there are 8 Guardians in this one Fireteam in the tower, which of course got the community talking, thinking that Fireteam size was going to be expanded in Forsaken, but unfortunately it's not. This was originally pointed out by Twitter user SlyPNugget, who reached out, and Bungie community manager Cosmo responded saying that this was in a dev environment. So no 8-man fireteam, sadly. So that is all I wanted to talk about in today's video. I know most of you have probably already read up on the annual pass content and such. I know I'm not exactly the quickest on getting news out to you guys, but I thought I'd still include this here in the video anyway. I didn't want to upload just 1 or 2 bits of information. I kind of wanted a more well-rounded news update, just so there's something for everyone to learn here. A like on the video would be amazing, and if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram, links are in the description. As always, I do hope that you enjoyed the video and found it useful. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.